This is a machine called Tough Stuff. It's also known in different gyms as the Roman chair. It's also known as the Roman chair. A lot of things you can do with this machine. This one in particular. One is a lat pull, okay, going straight up.
Give us 10.
A dip, okay, simple dip. You turn around, bring yourself up on the little grooves there, and you can do numerous different exercises for your core, which is really nice. But there's also a separate mechanism you can work with. And that's just moving the backrest to the bottom, and then you can do sit-ups on the machine. So there's the camera can't see it from here, but there's these pads that'll hold you, and from there you can work on your crunches and maybe different things you can do with medicine balls and whatnot.
I bet you a lot of members don't even know that happens.
Yeah,
I
no,
guess
they
I
don't.
didn't know that it happened either, so that's awesome. That's the point of this.
Yeah, and so it's a nice machine. It really has a lot of versatility. Oh. Okay, so that's the Tough Stuff machine.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, moving to the next one.
Next one is the Cybex hamstring machine. Now, this one has a lot of variables that you have to work in. I'm going to start with the foot pad first. And again, depending on the height of the individual who's working on the machine, it all depends on your height. So normally if you're 5'5", you're going to be about as close as possible. You know, 5 feet, 5'5", something like that. If you're a little taller than that, the length does matter because the pad has to be touching the back of your calf muscle for it to work properly. Okay, so moves up and down, release it, wiggle and tighten, make sure it's nice and, excuse me, nice and tight. Got a pin here that adjusts the weight. Before you start adjusting the weight, you probably want to just make sure everything's in line. So you got the back pad that goes forward and back. And again, depending if you're short, you're going to be pretty much forward. If you're taller, you're going to be back, a little bit further back, okay, depending on your height again.
Is it, can I interject? Is it true that the knee joint should kind of align with that?
There's a little pivotal point right here with both machines that if a customer comes and asks, you know, how do I size myself up? And that's a really good point because you can just size it up by placing your knee right where that pivotal point is at, okay? And it'll line up. And so then, as for me, I'd have to move it up to about 2 for that to line up, okay? Actually 3.
What happens if you're not aligned properly?
Then you're, I mean, if you're not going heavy, you're gonna be a little bit awkward, you know, working the machine. But once you start going heavy, you want that proper alignment because your joints are gonna feel it if you're too forward or too back on the machine. So, yes,
and how
you
does
want
somebody know what the right weight is on this machine?
You have to start very light and then just work from there. If you start heavy, you may strain the muscles. So heavy for someone may be, 25 pounds for that matter. And for someone else, it may be 75. So it's hard to say. So as a trainer, we start off light and then work your way up. And we just ask a question. How much, how's that feel on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it,
Great.
yeah, so. And that's the safest approach, you know. There are tests you can do, but that takes a long time. So the simplest way is to just start off light and then progress from there.
Great. So this is the hamstring machine. We're moving on to the...
This is the leg extension machine. That machine works the back of your legs, your hamstrings. This one works your quadriceps. And then same thing with this machine. You want to adjust it to your proper position here. And right now it's resting on the top of my foot, so I'm going to bring it up a little higher to adjust that right. And I got 3 on the back as well. So pretty much the same position for both on the back on these 2 machines. If you're working on them, they pretty much have the same length.
Okay.
On the side legs machine. So I'd be at 3 there and 3 here. Again, adjusting the pin. Keep note that these pins do have a little depression in there that releases the key from the weights itself, just a safety mechanism. They jump. I haven't mentioned this yet, but some of these weights work differently. So this one has these little 5-pound round weights that scoot over. So it starts from 10 pounds, then it jumps straight to 30. 10 pounds to 30. In between we have 5, 10, and 15 pounds to make up that difference. Okay. So that's how you progress on this one machine. Same with that one. Leg extension, you come up. And on this one, I always teach never to go all the way up because there's a lot of compression within the meniscus. Okay, so don't teach to go all the way up. Okay, you bring it down and just a little angle with that.
And this one's working the quads, right?
Yeah, and this is working.
And couldn't that be contraindicated? This machine can be contraindicated for some people with knee issues?
Yes, if people have knee issues, could be ACL, it could be MCL, it could be really anything with meniscus, the patella tendon and whatnot. If they have issues with this, it can be problematic to those tendons, to the joint itself and whatnot. So yes, you do want to have caution on this one when you're using it with people who have knee problems.
Does that include arthritis?
Yes, arthritis as well.
Okay.
What is that center adjustment?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over these 2, this one first.
Hold on a second. I'm going to move this so we can actually see what this is.
Yeah, and you can bring it over for a moment. This one here will limit the range of motion, let's say per se. We do have sometimes therapists come in and start activating the quad muscles with someone who had just gotten total knee replacement or whatnot. And they'll limit the range of motion by using this knob here. It'll stop you, like I was saying, before you get to that point where the pain may be too much or...
So if you had some knee problems, you could use it with limited range of motion without doing damage.
Exactly, limited range of motion on this machine for safety reasons. And that's really, again, working with a therapist, and that's what these are for. Other than that, if you have healthy knees, then of course you got full range of motion, and you just set that at 1, and you got that full. Again, just a slight angle, not all the way up. Bringing it back down. Now this one here will bring in the proximity of the pad down below. So with someone who has some problems with their knees, they may want to start extended rather than close in. But again, healthy knees, you come in nice and close and work that range of motion. You just get a little bit more out of it.
Okay.
Alrighty, leg extension machine. Now we go on to upper body machine, and this one is your typical arm curl, bicep curl machine. You got 2 settings here. You have the seat, which is really important because you don't want it too low or you don't want it too high. And what I mean by that is you want to have this chest level height right here, where you're not too low, okay, where your chin's close to it, or too high above it, where your abdomen is above the pad. Okay, so below the pad. So bringing yourself into this position, well, adjusting the weights first, make sure that it's not a weight that you're working with, that's safe. And the motion again, just like a preacher curl that's free weights, you have the support of your arms with the pads behind you, so there's no room for movement, what's called cheating. So from here, you're working the bicep muscles coming up and down.
How many reps should a beginner do?
Reps for beginners, again, depends on their physical stamina and their abilities at that point. You know, it depends on how well physical they are. So a simple standard is 3 sets of 10 for most people, but if that's too much, 2 sets of 10 is fine. 1 set for that matter, until they progress. So.
Okay. When do you guys see injuries most often? Somebody starting new at a gym and they're really ambitious. What advice would you give them?
I'd given advice to, if they don't know how to work the machine, to come ask a staff member and or a personal trainer, someone who knows the machine, because that's when injuries happen. They're guessing and they don't really know how it works, and then something happens. You know, something can falter really fast, and especially with several machines we're going to go down the line, and there's one that really we need to pay attention to. So again, bicep machine. Now we go into a shoulder press machine. Go ahead and pause that just for a
Try
sec.
to back this up a little bit so we can see.
And you mentioned. Okay, so shoulder press machine. We're looking at, again, one adjustment for height of the arms. Okay. And you want to be comfortable with this one, where your elbows are slightly down, you got a good grip, and then you just press straight up from there. Okay. The narrow grip is still working the anterior deltoid, which is this muscle here. And when you go a little wider, of course, you start to recruit some more muscles within the shoulder department, the anterior deltoids.
And again, can you clarify how
Triceps.
you know if you're at what the right height adjustment is for you?
Yeah, so about ear level with the arms here
Okay.
would be good. And again, if you have shoulder problems where you don't want to be down too far, then you adjust a little bit higher.
Okay.
So range of motion can vary from here to the full range, again, depending on shoulder problems that may be limiting the movement. And again, if it's too much for them, if there's pain involved, then you revert to a different exercise always.
Sometimes just that internal rotation on the,
Exactly.
will
The
help
closed
if they have
grip is
shoulder
always a
pain.
lot easier for people who have problems with their shoulders. Wide grip is a lot more problematic. So
Okay.
kind of remember that anytime we open, close chain kind of exercises. Now this machine is really one that, again, you just got to watch that when you coach someone on this, that they properly put their feet on there, because they can slip, and then, you know, if they're not holding on, they'll fall to the bottom. So great machine. I mean, the functionality of it is you adjust the amount of weight that counterbalances your weight with it, and so you're able to do a full pull-up depending on your strength again. So I'm going to demonstrate that and just see how much weight comes on there. I mean, I could do it without no problem, but that's looks like 120 pounds on there. So it makes the pull up a lot easier, as opposed to having to pull your whole weight, trying to pull your whole weight for that matter. You work your way up. And when you exit, see how I'm bringing this slowly so that it doesn't slam into the weights itself, the stack itself. It's nice about this one as well, you got close grip, wide grip, and dips as well. So the dips, you move this little step stool actually bends and goes forward, so you get that out of the way. And so you can get crazy without the weight. Or with the weight. Just making it easier again.
People also use that for, legs,
For step up.
yeah.
So they come up here like this.
What, no, they're using those
Oh,
to push
I
down,
see. Yeah, it can be used as.
but like slower than that.
Yeah,
Like
no, yeah, totally.
And how do you know what weight to set it at to counterbalance your weight? Like, I couldn't do a pull-up right now to save my life, so where do I start?
So I would go really heavy on that then. I would go, 200 and just start from there and see.
Okay,
how
so
that
you go with
feels.
the heaviest weight to begin with and then work lighter and
Exactly, and
lighter.
then go, on that one, it's the opposite.
Injury possibilities on this machine?
Just the slippage factor, if they're not properly stepping on here, they're not holding on properly and they slip off, they can fall off. But it's never happened since I've been here. Everyone's pretty safe, and as long as they got the grip. Okay, so seated row.
Hold on a second. David, would you mind closing the blinds
yeah.
on that? Because we've got the sun right behind us. Great.
All right, so seated row is typical machine you see at gyms, and there's 2 functional exercises on this one. And again, adjusting the seat and the chest pad. For myself, I'm at 2 and 2 for my height. And again,
And how do
the
you determine
taller
that?
you are, the lower you go, and the further out, depending on the length of your arms. And I'll demonstrate that right now. So I have my chest flushed up against the pad. Feet can be flat on the ground or on these steps here. Okay, so either or. You grab the bottom of the handles, pull back with the straight back. If you see people rounding on this machine, because gravity's already doing that to us, and working like this, have them correct themselves by just bringing their head up.
What is the harm of rolling forward like that?
Well, no harm really, it's just that, again, gravity is doing it to us already. So to counterbalance that, it's always great to keep that posture position while you're working through. Second exercise you can do on this one, go really light because these are your weaker muscles. There's handles up here that actually move out. So you come out.
I had no idea.
And you get that posterior squeeze with the posterior deltoids, your rhomboids, upper trapezes. And so you're coming in and out, working a crescent moon, I like to say with my clients, in and out.
And why do you use such a light weight on that?
Because your posterior deltoids are really small muscle groups that
Okay.
aren't used to that motion.
Okay.
Again, we're stronger pushing than we are pulling
Got it.
in that manner, especially when you're in this position with an open chin. So you want to start light. That was 10 pounds, 15, 20, 25. And again, some bodybuilders can do a lot more, of course, 30 to 50 pounds on that.
Perfect.
All right, so seated row, chest press machine.
Hold on one second. Let me get over to you because we're moving into a new area here. And this is the chest press.
Yeah. All right, so chest press machine. One adjustment, 2 adjustments you gotta look at. And there's enough space to come back here to make this adjustment a little easier, because if you're approaching it from the front, it's a lot harder to adjust. So you come back here, pull this pin out, and that'll give it a forward motion, which isn't far, which isn't too much. You're looking at 1 to 5 on this. 1, you're really in tight. I kind of like 2 to start off with, or 3 depending on, again, shoulder injuries or whatnot. If somebody has shoulder problems and they're really tight, then the further out is better. Okay. Further in, if you have half healthy shoulders. You adjust your weight. Again, 10 pounds, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45. And right now we're at 2.
Actually, would you mind, just because of the angle of this one, we can actually see those additional weights. This one starts at 10 and the other little weights, right?
Oh yeah, so 10, 15, 20, 25, then it jumps to 30. And the way that works is it's,
So
right now it's set at 10
how do
pounds.
you make the adjustment to whether you want 15 or 20? So
Yeah, so right now it's set at 10. So you just slide that 5 pounds over, now it's 15.
Okay,
And then 20, 25.
Great.
And it jumps straight to 30 from there. With the pin going to 30. And then you just
go from there.
recycle the weight again with the amount you want. One adjustment up here, this little yellow knob, will bring the arms out further or in. And again, depending on what's best for your client and yourself for that matter. And then you just press straight forward.
And when you say what's best, what does that actually mean?
Really just what feels comfortable with your shoulders, because everyone's different with how that feels when they press with the motion involved. And sometimes again they may have some problems going on with their shoulders where being too wide pressing really affects it rather than being close in. And that's what's
So
nice.
maybe a guy would go wider and some little tiny lady would come in a little closer?
For sure, well, a little thinner, of course, because of the framework. That's also something you have to equate is the body. Someone who's smaller, obviously you probably want it in a little closer. And then you just turn that knob and it brings it in. And again, if you want it further out, you can just bring it out. So again, it's just really a comfort thing for most people, especially if they have healthy shoulders, then it really doesn't matter. But if you're having some problems with your shoulders, then closed chain, and that's what's nice, it brings it in a little bit closer, is a lot easier to press than open wide when you have problems with your shoulders. And it's just something that happens with
And the
closed
chest press is really strengthening which muscles specifically?
You're working the chest muscles, you're working the tricep muscles, and the anterior deltoid primarily.
Great.
Yeah. And what's nice too with the machines is some of them give an illustration of the muscle groups that are being worked. And so you can just come around and take a look, and if somebody asks, oh, you can outline, and it's a really nice little show. A little small picture that illustrates it. Yeah. Now these two machines here, the free motion machines, 101 exercises you can do. I'm just gonna explain a couple that you can work with. And really with these machines, it's the more you work with, the more you learn how to play with those machines and work different muscle groups, which is really nice.
These intimidate a lot of people,
I
myself
know,
included.
yeah.
So yeah, the more you can give us on, and are these the same or
Yes, they are.
They are the same. So we'll go ahead and just do this one and know that both of these machines are
Exactly,
gonna
yeah.
be-
So
okay,
they're
great.
the same, and we can just like angle the camera and show them both. But I mean, they're just different colors and maybe just a little bit different make on this one compared to this one.
Okay,
But
but
not
same-
much.
same-
It maybe year
Okay.
model, I think is what is going on. So there's a red soft handle that people like to work with, and sometimes people like to work with the heavy metal one. Again, depending on, it's really cold when you're holding metal, so a lot of people navigate to this one. And I'm just gonna take the rope off, and I'll demonstrate the rope in a little bit. These arms are made to move all over the place, so you can have a lot of fun stuff to do. Okay, so you got the handles ready. There's a rotational adjustment left to right that you work with. And again, depending on the angle, I'm gonna work 2 exercises on one angle. And we're gonna set it to 4 and 5 here.
Setting to 4 and 5 on that?
4 and 5, yeah. And you can step away just to kind of look at the angle, and that'll give you, is that in proportion or whatnot, you know. Okay, so the first one is pretty simple. And again, 2 adjustments with your weight. Again, start off light, work your way up if it's too light. start off with 17 pounds here on both sides. Now it does have pounds and kilograms on these machines. Of course, here in America we use pounds, so I've worked with clients who like kilograms, so so it depends, again, preference. You back up a little bit, bend your knees, shift your weight back, and then just pull from there. So you're having a back workout with your latissimus dorsi.
Did you say a back workout?
Uh-huh, so you're working your back muscles, and you're just pulling nice and slow. Whenever you're pulling, you don't want to be fast and jerking your body while you're, rushing through it. You want the muscles to control the amount of weight that's on there, and that holds true with all machines and dumbbells as well. Working it through, pulling back, squeezing those shoulder blades, release, squeeze, release. You could do independent, one arm at a time. Motion with your wrist can be straight, facing each other. You can aim down, get a little different set of muscle groups working there. Okay, and once you're done with, again, 10, 12, or 15 reps, you rest for a little while. 20, 30 seconds is normally a good rest for lightweight. If power lifters normally rest 3 minutes because they're lifting really heavy weights, so they have to let themselves.
What's the gym etiquette? We had a question about that the other day. If you're in the middle of a set of reps and you're resting 20, 30 seconds and somebody else wants to use the machine, is it normal for people to get up and move, or does that?
That should always be courtesy, that person should know that, hey, you know what, sure, come on in and get a set in. But once in a while you got these guys who are like, well, I just have a couple seconds to rest and I'm doing this intense workout where I can't let anyone in. Can you just wait? If they're polite enough to say that too, then that's fine, but there's times where they get into a scuffle.
Yeah.
And
So,
that
but we
happens.
really should be encouraging a gym etiquette that if somebody else is waiting to use the machine, that we get up, members get up and let them use the machine while they're resting.
Exactly,
Okay.
and we can either create that with a little, just as a courtesy kind of thing, courtesy please, I don't know how we would word it, but there may be some already out there that we can buy.
But that's something that members need to be oriented on, is that's
Exactly.
the expectation for our gym.
Yeah, there's some gyms that have it, and they have, have a shirt on, proper short, proper attire, stuff
Right.
like that. And I should have.
No jeans.
I had no idea we were gonna film today. I know you mentioned that,
Yeah.
I just didn't know we were gonna do it today.
I think
So
that's
I
fine. You're doing
didn't,
great. No, that's wonderful, and we're gonna keep doing this and keep adding to our library.
I think it's
and-
important too. I mean, what I know. I mean, there's a lot of different trainers that know a lot of different things about these machines as well too. But I'll explain the simple ones that
Perfect. That
make
sounds
sense,
great.
All right, so free motion machine. Now you just turn around, and it becomes a chest press exercise. Again, proper angle. Bring your elbows in, bend down, then one step forward, so that you have the angle pull behind you, and then you work the chest press. You have 2 feet too, as well, as long as you have a little lean into it. Okay. So chest press, one at a time if you want. Work some punches in. So it's getting creative, as creative as you can get with this machine. The arms are made to rotate all over the place for different exercises. When I work with golfing clients, I use one arm and we work their core for rotation. Okay, so golfer is swinging, swinging and working that core rotation. So there's some exercises you can do, getting creative with that. Of course, you want to go a little light with that because the club doesn't weigh that much. So from here, it's just getting the motion. You tell them to get into their proper stance, whatever stance that may be that they're used to. And I'm going to demonstrate it this way. And so you just practice your swing with that. So as creative as you can get with different exercises. This machine can do it all with rotation involved as well. So golf swings. Okay. Balance clients like this one, you start off with a 1-arm pull, 1 foot down behind you. Lift that foot up, continue the pull. And that's a lot more challenging. So you're working balance alongside with your back muscles.
Triceps.
Triceps. Triceps, I like to use the rope and or a bar. But most people like the rope, it's just a little easier to work with and not so, these are a little heavy, they're about 5 to 7 pounds each. And to get it up there can be a little cumbersome. Bring that down to your height so that you can take that handle off. And snap in the rope. From there, you can bring it up a little higher. And again, depending on your height. And now the rope becomes a tool for your tricep extension. I'm working here in this manner. Okay, turn around. Different ways to work the tricep muscles. One arm for that matter. Okay.
Great. Awesome.
All right, so next is the nitro abdominal machine.
All right, hold on a second. Let me move this for a second. And May, would you mind shedding those blinds for me?
Okay, core machine. This one's another one you kind of have to, when you coach someone, again, start them off light, because if they go too heavy, again, it can strain an abdominal muscle or whatnot, just because of the amount of weight involved with this. Goes up to 200 pounds, so that's a lot of weight. 2 pins to work with on this one as well. It jumps from 20 pounds to 35, and again, you have 2 weights here, 5 pounds, that you can increase, or 10 pounds. Okay, so when someone gets on here and they say, oh, I'm only working 35 pounds, they're really working 45 if this pin is in at the bottom, and or 40 pounds if it's at the top. Okay, so just to keep that in mind, because they forget, and sometimes somebody will leave it in there. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one out. Adjustment again, depending on your height. This one shows you on the side where you should be at. And normally you want your thoracic, which is this area here, resting on the pad here. Okay, so your head is just above the pad itself, just slightly. And it's set at 1, I think last time I used that I was at 2. So you just come on in here like this. And you bring your arms behind you. You want your elbows always touching the front pads. So if you got a short arm where you can't reach, then just have them hold on the side here, but most of the power is coming from your core, not your arms anyway. So you're working the motion here like this. And again, keeping a neutral spine with your neck. Sometimes I see some people working this machine with their neck curled in like this, you know. You got a lot of cervical pull there. So keeping a nice, straightforward approach.
Keep your head
there.
straight forward and not curled in.
And let it all come from the core. Little arms involved with that as well, but not a lot. Okay, so that's how that works. And just rest right there. Release and exhale. So the only adjustment is this seat here, up and down.
Great. We're gonna skip the cardio for today. We'll go ahead and just finish up these last
Okay.
few machines here.
Sounds good. All right, so these 2 machines, or 2, I like to say core machines. This one primarily for your abdominal region. This one primarily for your back, your lower extensors. Getting in and out can be a little tricky for most. And there's really no easy way with these machines to simplify it. You just have to be strong to get in and out of it. This one here, sit down, bring your feet in, under, and again, there's an adjustment here, 1 to 2, 3, depending on the length of the femur.
And what's the optimal?
Second.
Like, where should your knee position be?
Again, this is perfect for me right here. 1 or 2 would be perfect. Again, the longer your femur, then the